Today we are in front of the Embassy of Egypt in Berlin, and His Excellency the Ambassador has granted us an interview regarding cultural diplomacy.
First of all, thank you for your time for having granted this interview to the Institute for Cultural Diplomacy. So, we're going to start with one question about your personal career. And Your Excellency, you've had a very successful career. You've been head of the Palestine Ministry of Foreign Affairs from 2007 to 2008, Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for the European Union and Western Europe, Union for National Coordination in the Mediterranean from 2012 to 2013, and since 2015 you've been appointed as Ambassador of Egypt to Germany. So from these different but extremely influential and delicate diplomatic positions, which have you found to be the most interesting?
Well, of course, being a spokesperson for the Foreign Ministry for 2 years in a very critical period of time in the modern history of Egypt, especially in the aftermath of the great 30 of June Revolution 2013. I was appointed as a spokesman for the Foreign Ministry a few days before the revolution, and I had the honor to present and represent my country and the point of view of the government and to explain to everybody in the world what's going on in Egypt in a very critical period of time after the Muslim Brotherhood they been deposed from power. So everybody was talking about Egypt, about what's happening in Egypt, and it was my own responsibility to explain to the West and to the Western media what happened in Egypt. And it was a revolution by people of Egypt to return back their rights and their identity, which had been hijacked during the 1 year in power by the Muslim Brotherhood.
All right, now coming back to Germany, where you're now ambassador from Egypt to Germany, how would you say have the relationship between Germany and Egypt changed over the years, and what ways is Egypt, or in how many ways is Egypt, or do you promote its cultural heritage here?
Well, as you know, Egypt is the cradle of civilization. Egypt is the oldest country in the globe. Of course, Egypt is extremely rich with its own culture and with its own heritage. Just in Luxor, in Upper Egypt, we have at least 1/3 of world heritage in one city in Upper Egypt. So Egypt had been and has been and will continue to be a cultural center and a cultural beacon for world community, promoting values of coexistence, of tolerance, of communicating and interacting with different culture, different civilization. So Egypt is a bridge, and this is very important in order to bridge the gaps between Arab world, between third world country and developed countries. Egypt also a bridge between different civilization and different culture and even different religions, because Egypt has a genius location in the heart of the ancient world. Egypt used to be exposed to different culture and different nations. Don't forget the fact that Egypt has had different layers of civilization, including Pharaonic civilization, Hellenic civilization, Roman, Persian, Arab. So it's a melting pot among those different culture and different civilization, and also different religions. Egypt, used to be the cradle of Christianity, of Judaism, of Islam, and we still have accommodating the different religions in Egypt. And there is a very nice place in Cairo which is symbolizing the coexistence among different culture and different religions, where you find the oldest mosque has been built in Africa, with the oldest synagogue in Africa, with the oldest church, which called Hanging Church, all in just one area, which is a symbol of coexistence and interactions among different culture and different civilization. And that used to be and continue to be the role of Egypt, to bring peoples, different countries, different culture, different civilization, different religions together. Egypt as a bridge for that.
The issue of cooperation between Egypt and Germany, and which areas do you think there's space of improvement?
Well, in our relations with Germany is excellent right now, especially after the successful visit by the president. Our president is Sisi to Berlin in June 2015. Since that, the relationship is flourishing, is deepening, not only on the political level, but also in the economic level, on social level, on security level, on cultural level. Just to give you ideas and examples, the president met with Chancellor Merkel 4 times in just 1 year. The deputy chancellor or the vice chancellor, Mr. Sigmar Gabriel, visited Egypt 3 times in just 1 year. The last visit was in April, and Mr. Gabriel was accompanied by the largest ever economic delegation from the private sector from Germany to Egypt, because of the business and investment opportunities available in Egypt. In cultural domain, I mean, the relationship is flourishing in light of exchange of people. Last year, 1 million Germans visited Egypt, and tourism is very important bridge to bring different people together, closer and closer. Also, Germany is playing very important role in light of restoration of different museums, different temples in Egypt, and we have very close relations with German side on that. Also, the academic exchange and the cooperation in scientific research. I myself visited different scientific and research parks here in Germany, and our Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research was just here a few days ago in order to bolster the scientific and cultural cooperation. The same applied in security, in defense. We are facing the same challenges, Germany and Egypt, especially with regard countering the terrorism, fighting global terrorism, and also fighting illegal migration, which is a threat to Egypt and to Germany. So we have a great deal of cooperation, especially that Egypt is considered the pillar of stability in a very turbulent region in the Middle East. And on the other hand, Germany is playing a very important role in the European Union. So it's quite normal to have this excellent relationship, but we are looking forward for more and more, especially in order to enhance the excellent existing relationship in different domains, based on win-win situation, based on equality, based on partnership, real partnership. We are not anymore interested in a donor-recipient relationship, but we are interested in bolstering a real partnership based on mutual interest and coexistence, with an important role to be played by the private sector in the two countries alongside with the two governments.
As we are coming from the Institute of Cultural Diplomacy, How would you define cultural diplomacy, and could you maybe give us an example of a time in which you were involved in a successful cultural dialogue, and how do you see the role of cultural diplomacy today?
Well, the role of cultural diplomacy is extremely important. Cultural diplomacy, it's all about using the soft powers of any given country. It's all about connectivity. It's all about interactions. So this is what we all need in international politics. With the rising of conflicts everywhere in the world, with the rising of terrorism as a global phenomenon which is hitting every country, like in France, in Belgium, in the United States, in Egypt, in Turkey, everywhere. So with the rising threats from terrorism, from other problems, we need more and more dialogue in order to correct the negative perceptions and also to present the real image of each country. So I believe that cultural diplomacy is gaining more and more role in international politics. And for us, for my country, Egypt, as a very, very rich country with history, with culture, with civilization, we have an edge. We have a quantitative edge in diplomatic or in cultural diplomacy in order to promote Egypt and to promote Egypt as Africa country, as Arab country, as a Muslim country, in order to correct some negative perceptions about Islam, about Arab civilization, about even Egypt itself in the aftermath of two great civilizations. So cultural diplomacy is an instrument, is a very important instrument to be used to deal with perceptions and with the images of different countries and different people. And I'm very proud to say that Egypt, with its richness of its history, is going to fill a candidate, a very able female diplomat. She's going, hopefully, to run for the post of being a Director General of UNESCO. UNESCO is the most important international organization dealing with culture and public diplomacy and cultural diplomacy. So Egypt is going to compete for this important post, and a very able lady, her name is Ambassador Mushira Khattab, is going to run. The election is going to happen next year, 2017, and we are entitled as Egypt, as a cradle of civilization, as the most important country in the Middle East, as the largest Arab country, to take this important post in order to foster the role of public diplomacy and the cultural diplomacy to promote Egypt and the Arab world and the Islamic world, of course.
Egypt, as you previously mentioned, is the cradle of civilization, and it has by far one of the largest and richest cultural heritages in the world, with Egyptian, African, Greco-Roman, and the Arab influence, without even considering when the French and the English came and put a Western boost into the country. And politically, Egypt is a major player both in Africa and in the Middle East. And with such a rich diversity, my question is, how does Egypt consider itself today? Does it consider more as an African country, more as a Middle Eastern country, or does it want to be a mixture of both, like a bridge, as you said?
Well, I would like to thank you so much for this very important question. Because, you know, we used to have a lengthy debate in Egypt about our identity. What is Egypt about? Is it just Egypt, or it's an African country, or Muslim country, or Arab country, or a third world country? We are all about that. This is the genius of the identity of Egypt. You know, we have multi layers of our culture and our civilization. we are proud to be Egyptians with the pharaonic civilization. And this is the oldest ever civilization in mankind history. But we are proud as well that this pharaonic civilization has its roots in Africa. It came from Africa. So Egypt is an Africa country in light of the roots of the pharaonic civilization and in light of geography. Don't forget the fact that Nile is coming from Africa. So Egypt is proud to be Africa country. On the other hand, Egypt is an Arab country. And Egypt promoted Arab identity and Arab nationalism. And of course, Egypt defended the Arab world in history against Tatar and the other aggressors. Also, Egypt provided all kind of support to all liberation movement in Africa. And also, Egypt is a Muslim country. If you go to Egypt, you will find everything there. You have pharaonic civilization, you have Arab and Islamic architecture. You have also African part of our identity. So we are all of that. I am Egyptian, I'm proud to be Egyptian. I'm Arab, I'm African, I'm Muslim, I'm Coptic, and I'm a global citizen as well. So, as you correctly mentioned, we are all about that. And that's why I mentioned before that Egypt is the best bridge all over the world to connect, to bring closer different culture, different civilization and religion. Recently, the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar went to Vatican and he met with Pope Francis there in order to restore the dialogue among religion. And this is Egypt. Also, Egypt is playing very important role to settle down the conflicts in the Middle East, in Libya, in Syria. The same applied in Africa. Egypt now is a member of the Security Council of the United Nations. Egypt now is a member of the Peace and Security Council of the African Union. So we are proud to have this rich identity with Egyptian, Arab, African, Islamic, Coptic, global dimensions, and we are proud of that.
And coming to the European roots that you have within your culture, and I'm referring to Roman and Greek culture. Now, the cradle of these civilizations are part of the European Union. And I would like to know, what are the diplomatic relations between Egypt and these countries within the European Union, and what are the diplomatic relationship within Egypt and the European Union?
Sure.
Also in light of your experience.
Sure. Thank you again. I'm sorry that I forgot to tell you that an integral part of our identity is the Mediterranean aspects. And this is a circle of our whole identity. Egypt used to be, the minaret of spreading out the Arab and Islamic civilization to Europe itself through the Mediterranean. Mediterranean used to be and will be and will serve as a bridge to connecting Europe and Arab and North African countries. So it's a part of our identity, and of course it's an integral component of our culture and our civilization. And we have an excellent relationship with European countries, with South Mediterranean countries within the EU, and with the rest of the members of the EU. It's an excellent relationship, and again we are sharing the same Mediterranean Sea. We are sharing the same culture, the same value system, the same objectives, and we are facing the same challenges. I referred before to challenges related to terrorism and illegal migration. You see, we have interdependence now between Europe and Arab and North African countries. You cannot separate. No single country can live in isolation. So Egypt is playing very important role as the pillar of stability. That's why Egypt is doing its utmost efforts to stop the flow of illegal migrants to Europe through Libya and other North Africa countries. And we are playing very important role in Libya for that. We are coordinating with Germany, with the European Union. We have an agreement, association and partnership agreement between Egypt and the European Union, which covers all aspects of cooperation, agriculture, political dialogue, trade and investment, cultural exchange. So the relationship is excellent. We are also, fighting terrorism, not only to defend ourselves, Egypt, but to defend Europe as well. For God forbids if Egypt fails, that will have a disastrous impact on Europe. So the stability of Egypt is of the stability of European Union. We are connected, we are important to each other, and the partnership is getting closer and closer based on mutual respect and mutual interest, of course.
One last question, which is related to your personal career. Your whole academic and working career has been dedicated to international relations. So, would you give some advice to people willing to pursue the international career, and would you give us some reasons for why you decided to become a diplomat yourself?
Sure. Well, that was a dream for me since I was a kid in primary school. I used to read the news stories for the kids in primary school and in high school every day in the morning. So I used to be very, very interested in international politics, what's happening, to read the headlines of the newspapers every day. That was my job when I was 10 till 19 years old. So I was very interested in international politics and to follow up what's happening here and there. And I was fond of listening to different programs in worldwide satellite channels and radio stations and so on, in order to be aware of what's happening, to get update on what's happening in our region, in the world community, and so on. And after that, when I was the first in my class in high school, that gave me the first ever opportunity for me to go abroad to visit Europe. When that was in 1983, I was just 16 or 17 years old. So it was the first ever experience and encounter for me with the European civilization, and we visited Greece, Germany at that time, Austria, Italy, So it was a very nice experience for me. I was fond of traveling, of serving my country abroad, and being very interested in international politics. That's why I decided to go to School of Economics and Political Science in Cairo University in order to prepare myself for the very famous and difficult exam for civil servants in order to join foreign service. That was my dream. When I was born in a very small place in Upper Egypt, so always being interested in international politics. And then I joined the Cairo University, and I continued my academic career alongside with my professional career. I finished my bachelor degree in Cairo University, and then I went to Israel as my first assignment, and at that time I prepared my master degree while I was in our embassy in Tel Aviv to talk about the peace process and the Israeli-Egyptian talks on Palestine. in order to make use of my presence in Israel to interview a lot of Israeli politicians to talk about what was about the autonomy talks between Israel and Egypt on Palestine. And then I went to Japan and I wanted to continue my academic career. That's why I wrote my PhD there about Japan and the Middle East, and that was the first ever dissertation in Arabic about Japan and the Middle East. So my own advice to young people is, we are all living in one global village based on interactions and interdependence. Now the world community is facing the same threats, so you cannot just say that I'm Egyptian and I don't care about the rest of the world. This is not correct at all. We have environment, we have global warming phenomena, and this affecting all countries. So those global problems such as terrorism, illegal migration, global warming, and diseases like AIDS or Zika or which is cross-boundary epidemics, those are needs international solidarity to work together to fight those threats. So I'm talking about global citizen that you have. It's important to take care about international politics, what's going on, and to promote global peace and stability, and to stop wars and conflicts. So my advice for any student of international relations is to, it will be ideal to mix academia with practice. And that was my case. I'm a diplomat, but on the other hand, I prefer to continue my academic career and to get my PhD in international relations. And I'm applying this on my professional career. So that's a good advice, to be aware of academia and as well as to mix it with practices in your professional career. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for this very valuable advice and this important insight. Would you like to add anything at the end, or do you have any questions?
Well, I would like to say a few words that about my country, that Egypt, after 2 revolutions, is back to track. The Egyptian economy is back to track. We are building our own democracy, and which includes promoting human rights and also deepening the democratic values. But that will take time. It's not an easy job. And it's all about changing the mindset and the value system of people. So in Europe, in Germany, in the United States, it took decades here to build democracy. In Egypt, this is not going to happen between a day and night. It will take time, but building real democracy, solid democracy, is not going to happen also without addressing socio-economic cooperation and, of course, improving the standard of living of people and fighting terrorism. So, again, this is a process. It's an incremental process. Will take time. We need sometimes to build and modernize our own system and our own society. And, Germany and Europe are our partners, and we value their support, but we need to do more based on mutual interest. And finally, we need to do more and more on the area of the cultural diplomacy and public diplomacy, because we have a lot of positive developments happening on the ground in Egypt, but unfortunately this does not yet reflect in our image in Europe and in the Western countries. So we need to do more in order to correct misperceptions on Egypt. We have many things going well in Egypt. I don't ignore the fact that we have a lot of problems, we have a lot of challenges, but on the other hand, we are working very steadily in order to build our own democracy and our own society to fulfill the demands of the people of Egypt. And again, the stability of Egypt is of the stability of Germany and Europe. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you.